In this presentation, I will be exploring the meaning of heroism, what we as a society believe makes someone a hero, and how this relates to the wars by Timothy Finley. The textbook definition of the word hero is often great bravery or heroic conduct, especially as exhibited in fulfilling a higher purpose of attaining a noble end. While heroism is often defined with great gestures and noble acts committed by those given the status of a hero, it is not these grand gestures, but rather the internal, more personal battles these people overcome day to day outside of their heroic professions that ultimately deems them worthy of their title. Many people believe that heroes such as firefighters, police officers, doctors, and even television heroes are only ever doing their job. What many people don't believe or don't understand is that the people saving us every day also have families. They have their own internal struggles, and they are just as human as we are. Similar to Robert, many people did not consider him a hero, but he was indeed fighting his own battles and overcoming his internal wars, which would have been his ultimate act of heroism. Firefighters are one of the more common people researched as heroes because of their daily acts of bravery. The risks they take to save someone's life while caring little about their own because it's their job. What a lot of people may not know is that firefighters spend a ridiculous amount of hours doing their job, whether they're responding to an emergency call or at the station cleaning and inspecting their equipment. They spend close to 24 hours there every day. They eat and sleep there as well when it's necessary. The risks that come with this job or title of hero is a sacrifice of having little or no time with the family they may or may not have due to long hours and important responsibilities. The problem with this line of work as well is asking the question, is the money worth risking my life? Now, most people would argue that they do it to help other people, which is the literal definition of a hero. But they are only human, and similar to Robert in the wars, he, like many others, served in the war to help people, but risking his life every day came with side effects like PTSD and shock, an internal conflict he was fighting to overcome rather than a physical war he only needed to survive. Police officers are similar to firefighters, but police officers have been around since civilization began because keeping the peace was and still is a primary need in society. Police officers are in charge of enforcing the law, making arrests, issuing citations for things such as tickets and fines, testifying in court, and responding to calls, in which case a firefighter or EMS might respond as well. Police officers are usually considered a hero as well due to the often dangerous situations they encounter in everyday life, such as a terrorist attack, robberies, assaults, and shootouts that are captured on the news more and more as the years progress. Similar to firefighters, police officers have a similar job in that they go out on a call and risk their life every day, making their families fearful that he or she may not come home. In 2016, there was between 64 officers shot dead in the line of duty, and the number has stayed around that area for the past couple of years. Lately, it being 2018, police officers have been given a bad reputation due to individuals not respecting certain laws, people of color, and race. But this does not mean that police officers are not considered heroes everywhere else. When including Robert Ross into this subject of risking lives, again connects to his time serving in the war. The risk he took every day, and unfortunately realizing that he's not invincible. He will get hurt, but most of the time, all he will have to do is things other people nor himself will like. Overcoming that internal struggle of self-certification will be every officer and Ross's biggest assignment. This profession is especially important, and they are doctors. Doctors receive the highest salaries in the country as of 2011 due to the fact that they can literally hold the power of life and death over individuals. The job of a doctor is to diagnose and treat illnesses and injury. They look at the problem and treat it accordingly, whether it be surgery or a simple drug prescription. Doctors specialize in multiple areas of the profession, such as neurosurgeons, pregnancy and childbirth, disease and deformities, and child doctors, such as Sick Kids Hospital. Doctors don't so much risk their lives like firefighters or police, but they are responsible for the life of the other person. I don't know so much how Robert could be connected to this, other than the fact that he had the life of a horse in his hands at one point in the novel. The horse had a broken leg, and rather than trying to help, they chose to kill the animal and put it out of its misery. Most people would not consider this an act of heroism, but doing what they thought was right would be considered just in the eyes of a doctor. Taking a different approach to what a hero is, many look at superheroes on TV as the biggest influence when using the term. Many superheroes, such as Superman, are depicted as alien, with powers, strength, and a fancy costume parading around in masks and capes. People believe that to be like them, we need to go perform grand tasks or have abilities that make us better than everybody else, when in reality, Clark Kent had somewhat of a normal life. He fell in love with a human, and she too was fearful of his life, because even superheroes we see on TV have weaknesses. Superheroes such as Superman are depicted and created in everyday life situations, or situations in which we had hoped for such a hero when there was no one to be found. Television heroes are shadows of people like firefighters, police officers, and military soldiers who fight to protect us every day, risking their morality and mortal lives for ours. We are all aware that superheroes are not real. We wish they were, but they aren't. The superheroes that are real wear uniforms, badges, and helmets to protect us from any evil, and also to protect themselves from their own battles they face. In today's society, unfortunately, Robert would not be considered a hero after reading the book. Reasons could include reckless acts that resulted in the harming of others, such as his sister Rowena. Rowena died in a barn while Robert was out. He claimed that it was his fault because she had a disability and he should have been watching her. Her head is large and adult, while her body is that of a 10-year-old child. She is 25 years old and what is called a hydrophiliac, which means, in plain language, she was born with water on the brain. Another reason he couldn't be considered a hero is because of the fact he never made mention of any grand acts or gestures. It was said that Robert was no Hitler, and this was his problem. Not saying that Hitler would be labeled a hero either, but the gestures he made for the people he claimed to care about would be considered grand gestures. Robert didn't seem to care about anything enough to make the title seem worth it. The only thing he truly cared about was his sister. Now that she was gone, the only thing he did was for himself. Robert was considered his own hero. The internal struggles he faced and the things he had gone through were all a part of his internal heroism that went unnoticed. Therefore, by breaking up all of the different professions and labels society has come up with, there are in fact many different types of heroes. People who risk their lives for other people, who protects by enforcing the law, people who fight crime and stop evil on TV, and the final one, people fighting for themselves, the people who fight their internal battles before they can take on anything else. In the end, they are all human, and they all have their own battles to fight, whether it be the job, at home, or in your heart. A hero should mean fighting for what you believe in and what you think is right, fighting your own demons before anything else.